Welcome to the Tragedy Academy, where you are the teacher and we are the students. Together, we will learn from past tragedy to lay the foundation for a better humanity. The only supplies you'll need, an open mind and a sense of humor. So, tilt that chair back, talk out of turn, and never raise your hand, because this is the Tragedy Academy, and class is in session. Non-pura scholar.
Yeah.
Testing one.
Yeah. Old school. So just before we get started, anything off limits, anything you don't like to talk about?
I think so.
We're not going to be like, tell me that time that.
Well, now that you say, I'm just kidding.
What time were we talking about?
Yeah, no, there's many times.
Yeah.
There's many of those.
No, I just want to make sure I'm respectful.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I mean,
He's the respectful
I'm
one.
pretty laid back. I mean,
It
as
appears
I
that
lean
way.
back. And
Yeah,
I'm
right.
just kidding.
Before we even started recording, he tried to make me adjust his chair for him and said, I'm not going to do this interview unless you fucking fix this chair.
With me sitting in it.
Slammed down his Dunkin' Donuts coffee. I was like, please, Mr. Scheall.
Yeah. I was getting.
Gotta be a huge pain in the ass. Like that's, I could already tell you're gonna be more
Diva.
successful as you go.
Welcome to the Tragedy Academy, a show created to bridge societal divides in a judgment-free zone using candor and humor. My name is Jay, and I am joined today with my co-host Gary. How you doing today, Gary?
Good, how you doing?
Living the dream, my man. And we have a rapper, hip-hop artist Matthew Scheall on today. How you doing, Matt?
I'm doing really good.
You good with Matt? Or do
Yeah.
you prefer Matthew?
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter?
It matters.
I mean, artist name is Matthew, but it's all
Okay,
good.
so Matthew
It's all good.
then.
I'm not gonna score.
No. Hey, dude, my first name's Matthew, but it's got a misspelling, so we're good.
With one T.
Yeah, it's fucking...
Oh, you're a 1T guy.
Yeah, I didn't say that when you were describing your gym fellow the other day.
Oh, yeah.
Because I've got one T in my name. I have a lifetime of misspelled documents. I had a license that was wrong for like fucking 3 years and I didn't care. So
You cared.
I cared a little bit.
Is that where the tragedy name came? Because it was.
Yeah, the tragedy was
The
from day
tragedy.
one.
It used to be
Day
with a
one.
J though, and then he's got the G in the sign.
I stole the T from my name for the head of the name of the academy.
Oh man.
Well, Matt, thank you so much for coming in today. You're from what, you grew up in Cape Coral, Florida?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Cape Coral, Florida, and then I moved to Lakeland in 2012.
What brought you into the music industry? Where did that come from?
I mean, wow. There's kind of a lot of different, like, I wouldn't say there was like a main, like, when this time happened, like, I just was like all in. But I had some friends at the time before I went to college. So it was around like 2009, 2010. And these guys I just looked up to just were huge blessings in my life. And they did music. They did hip hop. They wrote music. I would honestly I would hear a song and I'm like, dang, like that song's dope. Or like, and it would just be something that like I hadn't heard before. And I don't know, like I felt like it was like the first start of like it pulled me in a direction where I was like, dang, like I feel like I could do that. You know what I mean? But it was weird because I felt like it was something that was already in me. And it was like these little moments were like bringing it out of me. And
How hard was it to start? Like your first rhyme you spit in front of other people.
I didn't even share it with anybody because I was like, man, this is garbage. And then I was like, nah, like maybe cause I had a one real close friend named Josh. And cause I didn't even know how to structurally, like I didn't know how to put a song together. Like I had like these conceptualized ideas.
You'd heard
like,
music before.
like I knew, like yeah, because like I heard a song, I'm like, okay, there's a verse, there's a chorus, there's
Right.
a verse, there's a, you know what I mean? So I knew what structure was, but I didn't know how to do it myself. Just because it's like it's something new, so I just didn't really. So what happened was I would actually, and it's actually funny because like it's a lot more controlled now, but I used to be super long-winded. Like I could just talk for days, run on sentences. Like I didn't know what a punctuation mark was. I mean, I did, but I didn't, and so
In there.
yeah. And like music, I literally just wrote like verses, like a long, like didn't know how to count bars, didn't know how to do all that. So I literally just had these long verses and I would share them with my friend. One, my flow was always off. Like I didn't have a flow. I didn't know, because it's new. Like I don't even know who I am as an artist, and at the time. And so I just knew that it was in me. And so I just kept like pouring out like these ideas, and like I had these verses and I would like share them, and he would always encourage me, be like, yo man, you got so much potential.
There's no better words.
Yeah.
There's no better words because it's never a lie.
That's a real friend.
Seriously though, because like the thing is he wouldn't, like he would tell me if like he's like, yo man, like you're like, because the potential came from like, okay, you could write, you know, but the potential's there to like get to a point where now you're like making a song, like an actual, like something that you could digest, you know, in that way. Cause then like I would share, I'd record these verses on my in GarageBand. And I mean, obviously I did not know what I was doing. I didn't know anything about engineering.
That's where I started.
Dude.
Still works.
If you know how to use it, I mean,
Works.
yeah. And yeah, man, like I would share with some of the veterans the friends that I knew that were really good and knew what they were doing. I would share it, and they would like always like, I look back, I'm like, dang, dude, like they were kind of like clowning on me a little bit, you know, but they were my friends, you know, so I was like, well, maybe they're just saying that to like challenge me, you know. And so I remember the first time I wrote, like one of my friends that is a veteran was like, yo man, I want you on this song. I want you to see what you could do on it. And I remember it was like a Green Goblin instrumental from like Lil Wayne or something, I think. And I like did a verse on it, and we all went to the same church. And so like after like church, or it might've been before, and they were like, yo, like, cause my boy was was like, yo, you snapped on this, you know? And I was like, for real? Like, you know, I was so giddy. I was like, oh my gosh, like, I feel like this is the start right here, you know? And we get to church, and like, we're outside in the parking lot, and he's like my friend Pat, who's like, he's like one of my best friends, but he's someone I admire, cause he don't really do music anymore. But at the time he was just someone that I looked up to, like, as a creative. And even he was like, yo, dude, who is this guy? You know? And I was like, you don't know it's me? Like, and then my boy Steve was like, dude, that's Matt. And he's like, bro, you snapped on that, you know? And yeah, so that's kind of where it started.
Yeah, I have a question about that, because there's that pivotal moment, and you had been through, you know, all those moments where you'd written down all of everything from the heart, writing out all this poetry, putting it all together, and then you get in front of everybody and you spit this one time. But did you get a chance to look back on that one time and figure out why that was an authentic moment behind the mic? Was that the moment that you stopped worrying about what other people think?
I feel like yes and no, because it was a while ago, but like from what I remember from that time was like, I felt like it was my time to prove myself, even though I know I deep down inside, looking back, I'm like, I don't need to do that. You know what I mean? I don't need to prove myself to a degree. Like, you still gotta like in the hip hop realm, you gotta earn that respect, you know? So, but I feel like in that time frame, it was a big monumental moment for me, because like hearing that from like close friends that like usually like their opinions are the ones that matter the most, even if they don't realize that it is, you know what I mean? That's the case. And so I think when they just were like going bonkers over like that I snapped, I was like, dude, like, okay, cool, you know? And it wasn't like an unhealthy affirmation for me. It was like, I feel like I'm just going in the right direction, you know what I mean? And so, but there definitely was a level of, man, if they say it sucks, like, I'm done with music, you know what I mean? Like, cause it's just like,
we're children. We're all children.
It's hard to put it out there and open yourself up for that shit. Like, it's really, really difficult.
I mean, to be vulnerable, and like, even if it's like a track that you're just like spitting bars, like, it's still like, if anybody tells you like, oh, you're whack, you know, if it's someone that you don't know, you're like, nah. But if it's someone that you do know and you're close with and you do life with, and they're like someone that you hang out with like on a regular, and they're just like, yo, dude, like, you're really like you're growing as an artist, you know? And so that definitely, I think that moment right there was kind of,
those affirmations are very important. We're supposed to tell our friends or family that they're doing good things. Too often we want to point out what's wrong, the negative things first. And
all the time.
We all need those affirmations, because without them, we're not going to become successful.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, being a rapper or a hip hop artist and speaking those things, before you even get in front of a mic, you're writing and you're putting all these things down on paper. Where does that come from before it hits the paper?
Sometimes it doesn't even happen that way, to be honest. I mean, there's times where I'm literally like my producer will play a beat, like we'll be in, and I'm like, dude, like, give me the headphones, give me the mic, and I'll just like, you know, because there's times where you work backwards, you know what I mean? Like you're gonna like, I don't know, like it's kind of like there you have those organic moments where you're like, you know, the music in general like pulls out something that you didn't know it was there. So he'll play something and then I'm like, dang, it connects with me in a certain way where I feel like maybe there was because most of my, I wouldn't even say most, all of my music it pertains to something that I went through, trauma, like just big moments in my life, you know what I mean? That like were just like, could have been high moments, low moments, whatever, you know, but it's like a song, like a beat will pull something out of me. So I might just put on the headphones and freestyle or have a melody from the song, from the beat. And I'll just like, you know, no, you know, like just do something that like, I'm like, yo, that actually sounds, that's dope, you know, and then we'll track it. And then from there, I'm like, well, okay, we got the chorus down, you know, and now it's kind of like you're working backwards. But then there are other times where I don't even have a beat and I just start, things will just come to me, you know what I mean? Honestly, I'll have conversations with people, and just the deep combos will give me topics and things to write about, you know, because we'll talk about real stuff and then I'll resonate with it with part of that conversation. And then I'll just be like, yo, I think I have like, these are like the creative bag, you know, I go in and reach in and I grab something. So I don't know. It just depends. I mean, I feel like most of the time it is a sense of like where I'm sitting down and writing, but I don't know. Like sometimes it comes naturally and I can write a song quickly. And then sometimes I like it's unfinished and then I'd come back to it.
How many unfinished songs do you have? I got 10,000 of them.
10,000.
I mean, I would say not even song wise. I would say just ideas, like where I'll have like something that I start or like, you know, a beat that I haven't even used yet. And I'm like, I'm not connecting with it. Or like I have an idea and I'm like, dang, like something amazing is going to come from this. I just don't know when. Cause a lot of times it is timing, you know, cause and that's what I have to be patient with the process because I might have an idea, but sometimes that idea doesn't even get used because it's so much time has gone by and you're like, well,
that might not feel that way anymore.
But it does. And that's the thing that I've figured out is that over time, you start to recognize that all of those small, I like to call them waypoints throughout your life, they're mile markers that'll show up and you're like, you know what? That actually did mean something. That particular thing set me up for this today. And it's a chain of events that we don't realize is actually happening because of the fact that we're too wrapped up in our own internal cyclone. True. We don't realize that those points are right out there for us. And if we were given a chance to look back at our path, we would actually see all of the lights that are on along the entire way, but we don't see them on our way through.
A lot of U-turns.
Yes.
That's crazy too. And you know what's crazy about that is like, you'll have an idea or even a song that you were like, like, I feel like it, because that's the battle of like the inner critic, because there'll be moments, even I actually found myself doing this recently where I'm like, dang, I got like 4 songs that like I could just go back to that are like, it's honestly, I personally feel like some of my best stuff, you know, and I just haven't even like I haven't been able to match the lyrics with the right beat, you know, or the right, you know, it's like, that's why I was saying like, there's like a right moment for it. And
that's tough to do.
It is tough because like, it's hard to like, when you lay something down that's like authentic, it's hard to go back and redo it just like that, you know? And that's where I think a lot of times things just kind of get lost in the like limbo or whatever, like the creative, just like you kind of like, it's hard to get back to it.
Because it's a mindful moment and it's a one of a kind. The heart produces things like that on its own any given moment. But the moment that we take that time to listen to our heart, that's when we come out with those lyrics. But if we try to go back and repeat it, it's not going to sing the same song. It's going to sing a different song because we're a different person. We're a different human. We have different ears. We're not going to hear it the same. But I've utilized those past pieces of music in small snippets in other ways that I found that, you know what, that actually gave me the idea for this. Now I like horns. I've heard now that you can do this with this. Let me layer that in there, you know, and I'll go backwards and find things. And that's those waypoint.
Or it could be subconscious. It's not even like that literal, like a piece of that moment or that feeling you got 5 years later is just in there somewhere. You don't even know.
That's true though. I mean, and as an artist, like even, well, for myself, just speaking for me, like I can't even say that like even right now that I'm like, oh yeah, like I've discovered my like sound, quote unquote, or like me, because I'm still learning, I'm still figuring out who I am as an artist. Like that's why I'll just experiment. Like I have songs out that have no rap in it, you know, it's just me singing or whatever, you know, and it's like I'm trying, like if you don't experiment, like you're not gonna like find that pocket, you know what I mean? And so that's kind of, it's the journey.
If you know who you are as an artist, then you're not an artist, because an artist is not a static thing. Art is fluid. It's always changing and it's growing. And if you pigeonhole yourself or you put yourself in a corner where you have to meet the criterion of a certain set of fans or a certain genre or something like that, then you find yourself playing to the people versus to what is actually coming from inside yourself. I love the fact that you're saying that you sing and that you rap and that you're putting different things out, because that means that you're not just testing what your, you know, abilities are or what your sound might be, but you're also exercising, you know, your potential. You're getting more tools for your toolbox. You're throwing them in there because guess what? I bet you could take a song that was mostly rap before, but now you could layer in vocals that would be used as a refrain where it wouldn't have been done before, where you'd have said, how do I bridge that particular piece? But now you know how that works when it's layered in.
True.
Can't paint yourself in the corner or anything, you know?
Yeah, that's true. I guess like I get in my head a lot because I'm like, I don't want to be like wayward and like do anything aimlessly. So like, even with art, because it's like if I'm like hip hop and I'm like, okay, like I'm doing, and it doesn't mean that it always has to be like bars, you know, but it's like, you know, at the end of the day, like if I have a couple records that sound a little more poppy, like, you know, I'm at a place where I'm like, I'm cool with that.
What's pop though? You know, it's like,
it's because it's like, you don't want to, I don't know. And you know what? I think genuinely where it came from was a place where there was somebody that had told me once that, oh, you got to find your pocket because you don't want to go. It's like he painted the picture of it being like a restaurant. Oh, like in music, you don't want to be that buffet table.
There's something to that. But it's also like, you don't want to have the same menu for your whole life either.
Yeah, because you don't want to go like put out a hip hop song, put out a rock song, put out a country song. I get that. That's just kind of like you're all over the place.
But if they're all good, then why not?
I
like, do they feel right when you do it? You know, and like, do people like
that? Yeah, I
exactly.
Feel that. I think that's why I kind of like, you know, because I don't always just listen to hip hop, but there's, you know, I love indie pop. I love that genre. So I think that's why I get little influences from different things. And there's nothing wrong with that.
That's
obviously.
the thing. Take that, like,
you know,
seasoning.
Yeah.
Don't try to go make a indie pop song if that's not your steez, but you might find this little piece of indie pop that you could drop into there. And like, you know, people never like sweet and spicy till one day, like somebody mixed those two together. Like they thought it was probably crazy to like do that.
Yeah.
So,
and,
you know.
Yeah. And I think it just to that effect too, I think that's what's helping me like just, you know what, I'm just going to do it, you know, because, excuse me. Yeah, like I just, not that I'm like, I don't know what genre I want to be kind of thing like that. And I think that's where I psych myself out. Cause I'm like, nah, I am a hip hop artist that does experiment, that will go, you know, it doesn't mean I'm going to go country. Cause I mean, even though I love country, that's just not my flavor, you know, as an artist, but like I do
one piece of that gets in there.
I get inspiration from it.
Slide guitar and the harmonica.
I mean,
love them.
Hey,
people can make dope shit out of that.
Yes.
I mean, but that's the thing. I think like even with singing, like I'll never be like, yo, I'm a singer, you know, but I know that I do have a voice. So I'm like, I want to use that voice to the best, because it's an instrument. I want to use it to the best of my ability and find my pocket with that and just have fun with it, like and experiment and do different things. And I think that's the whole point of like being an artist. It's painting a picture that you know, you just never know.
It's hard to put yourself out there to be judged by your art, you know, and it's like, there's different types of art.
Yeah.
Like the truest artists, like, they don't care if somebody puts them in my opinion, like a genre, says you need to do this or that. Like, who are like, would you say are your favorite hip hop artists of all time? Like, name a couple you them, like really respect.
I mean, J. Cole, Mac Miller, rest in peace.
Mac Miller, and they probably told him not to sing either, you know? And then
they did.
Well, it's crazy because I was even watching some interviews with him, and honestly, like, I love hearing other artists like, yo, like, unapologetic about dabbling, you know, in different things. And like, I think that's why, like, I kind of pulled that phrase from him, because he kind of said basically the same thing of like, I'll never say like I'm the best, I'm this great, amazing singer, but like, I know like I have a voice and I'm going to stretch that voice, maybe not out of like what I can do, but I'm going to make it fit the flavor in which I'm creating and like make it unique, you know? And I think, and that's to stretch yourself, you know? And, but yeah, like, just those are like kind of
you don't have to be Whitney Houston to sing a fucking badass song.
That's fact.
It's so, I mean, one of the biggest,
yeah, right. Hey, if it works and you can make it dope.
Look at Bob Dylan, dude. He's been singing like a goober forever. And
I made fun of him, I guarantee it, when he started.
You listen to the Hurricane, you know, it's a fucking amazing song.
And the funny thing is, like, I never liked Mac Miller at all, like, because I grew up rapping and I'm much older than you, and I just hated all white rappers, jealous, right? This inner rage against them all, you know, like, that I didn't like process, right? And he came out and I was like, I don't like all this new emo rap, white boy, like college rap shit. And there's Tiny Desk concerts, you know what those are?
Yep, love those.
Mac Miller's, I accidentally just came onto a playlist. I was like, what the fuck is this? And it's after he passed away. And I listened to him sing, and he wasn't fucking rapping. He started singing. I fucking like cried and shit. And I was like, holy fuck, man.
It's authentic.
Like, what the fuck, man? Like, and that like changed a lot of my views. And that was only a couple years ago. And you know, I'm in my 40s and music's a huge part of my life. But that moment of him singing there after, like, I don't remember, Wu-Tang or somebody that I went to go see, or Anthony Hamilton, I think it was. And he came after it, like, changed my perspective on a lot of things, because like it was my perception of what I thought he was doing with his music and shit was like, he's just some white boy that raps about like fucking playing beer pong, you know? Like, I just didn't, I thought he was like, I just didn't know. Like, and like, why are you like being some sad little, like, eating Xanax and this and that, and like shit that I was like, that's not even what it was. It was just like me being the old back in my day guy that was like, rap sucks now and these guys blow, and like, you gotta like be this or that. Like, that opened me up to like a whole genre of music that I hated on before I even actually listened to it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, and at the end of the day, like, an artist is a human being and a person. So like, when I like, because you could hear music and be like, man, this dude's a douche, you know what I mean? But like, just being real, like, and then like you like hear like him on a interview or like, or even just like outside of the music, and then you're like, yo, this dude's actually like mad cool. And I think that that's the thing too. Like, people don't just fall in love with the music, like they fall in love with the music even more when they fall in love with the person and who they are as a person. And so like, I think that's why like I admired him so much too, because he's just such a chill, down to earth guy. And like, you can't, and that's the thing, music is subjective. So like, not everything that you put out is going to be like, you know, because that's the whole point. It's like, I'm at a point in my life where I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to make music that I love making, put it out, and then keep it pushing, you know, because you never know what that one song can do, you know, not even in the aspect of like, oh, I'm trying to make it big, but just like what it can do to like somebody's life, how it can, you know, help somebody and touch somebody. And that's the sole reason why I make music, other than it being an outlet.
There we go. It's dropping that rock in a pond and those ripples that happen after it's done. What we don't realize is that when we put our mouths to these mics and we put this out there, it's actually going to stand the test of time from that day forward. And you never know who's going to go back and reference that or get that opportunity that might be at that crossroads you were discussing. And they hear that one statement about how someone else overcame the same thing that they're going through, or, you know, your music it has a specific sound because there are specific people that are going to tune into that specific frequency. It's going to resonate with them. When you said that you turn on music and you hear the beats and you hear different songs and bring different music together, and then it starts to pluck those chords inside of you. I like to think that we're like, our body also is a guitar, and that each one of those sounds plucks a string inside of us and it matches. And when it matches, we tune up with it. And if that artist is your artist at that moment, that's why I don't think the artist can repeat the same thing twice, because you're only going to paint the Mona Lisa once. After that, you're going to photocopy it.
Real artists like that are actually coming from, like, you could tell your music wasn't like, okay, I'm going to try to make it like this because this is popular and like, I want to make money. You're not looking at like Drake or whoever's like the popular guy at the time. You're not like trying to emulate something to make the money. Like and the best music's going to come from that eventually, because if you're trying to always chase what's popular or be like what you see, like you're way behind. And it's like,
and I mean, why would you not want to be you?
People hate themselves sometimes, you know?
I mean, but I think people get caught up in this illusion. And then what happens is like, that's why there's like all these artists, but like a lot of them sound the same. It's like, we don't need another Drake. Like, we don't need another Mac. You know what I mean? We need, like, everybody needs to be 100% themselves. And like, cause I want to give people the best of me. And just to be, and I think it is a challenge, but like, cause we all have everybody has insecurities. And I think that's why pretty much I feel like every artist relates with that to a degree. And why most of the time when people ask like, yo man, like how many unfinished songs do you have? And they're like thousands, I mean, I don't have that many, but
you probably do though. If you ever thought like, I mean, one line you wrote here,
or a line, or like even just an idea. And like, because, it's when you're vulnerable in your music and you're putting it out there, it's like a baby and you're like, here it is, to the world, you're in your mind, you're like, they're going to, critique it. And then are they going to like it? And then is it going to digest well? Is it? And I think it's the fear. The fear is what keeps people like stuck, and I've even been there, and that's why when I hear other artists that are like, my favorites are like veterans in the game, and you're hearing them say, yeah, like I didn't put this song out when I initially created it because I just didn't think it was good. And then they put it out and it's like, bro, why didn't you put this out last year? And it's like, and again, it happens.
We get into these situations. It's kind of like, I talk about interviews. Nobody hires somebody that doesn't believe in themselves. We'll hire somebody if they believe in themselves. That's really what the test in that situation is whether or not the person telling you believes what they said, you're going to hire them, whether they are good or whatever. That's how we test people. But when you're putting your music out there as an art, and as a part of your soul, people are going to ingest that in a way that they feel connected to you. It is their soul is your soul. Your words are their words.
You gotta find your audience too. Like,
that's the other thing.
If you put stuff out in the wrong time or place or platform, like they're just not going to dig it. Like, it's the wrong crowd. Like, there's people that are going to like what you do and could relate to it, and people, it's just not their style. And it's like,
some songs that you put out just don't do well. It doesn't mean the song's bad. It just didn't do well. And that's why it's like, yo, just put another one out. Just put another one out. It's like you just never know. I actually, it's crazy. Like I don't know if you guys seen this meme. I'm gonna probably depict it terribly, but it's the meme where like there's this guy and there's like it might be two images, it could be one, but it's like this guy's like mining and he's doing it for a minute. Like he's mining and mining
he's
and
like
mining.
This close, but he turns around.
Yeah, like literally like the gold is right there and he just has to hit it one more time, but he decides to turn around. He's like, nah, man, it ain't there. And I always think about that when, when I'm putting out a song, cause I'm like, how much closer am I really but then like in that moment of insecurity or fear of what people are going to think or not doing well, maybe I'll just pack my bags, and turn around. And then you're like, yo, you never would have known, And so I think I try to remind myself that a lot.
You have to love mining. That's the difference in that situation, is if the miner loved mining, he would have gotten to the gold. And the thing is you have to do what you love to do. If you don't love doing what you're doing, you're going to burn out and you're going to turn back. It's called a midlife crisis. We all do it. We watch it, corporate America and everywhere else. You either buy a fast car or a fast broad or some crap like that. That was a horrible way to say that.
I got them both. Wait, sorry.
But the midlife crisis is basically you realizing you hadn't been authentic your entire life and pursuing things that were not in your best interest or what your heart has led you to do your entire life. You spend all that time doing somebody else's job, mining, looking for somebody else's
gold. I feel like you're
gold,
talking about me.
right? No, I talk about myself this way too.
Session.
Right? You mine somebody else's gold, you're not going to appreciate it when you get there. You have to mine your own gold. And it's, you got to love the mining process. That's the biggest thing, because then the gold doesn't matter.
You got to let things not make you hate it. You know, like people say this, like find what you love and make that your job and you'll never work a day in your life. Like to me, it's the opposite. Like that fucking ruins everything. Like music was my whole life for a decade until I made it or wanted to make it my whole goal was to be rich and be famous and be a rapper and like these things. And like, it made so much pressure to sell it and make money and like I so close, but I never made the money. And that pressure and that kind of shit was what like just crushed the love. It was like I was trying to make hits and make music that like I thought would make me. And this was in early 2000s and the internet wasn't out yet. And it was like really hard to put music out. And now it's a different challenge because there's so much that it's hard
to like access to like digitally, like even just to
sift through it. But like, you know, and I just started making music again after 18 years recently. And like, I don't care. Like you know, I produce a lot of television shows. I'm successful financially and like, I don't like need the money.
Right.
So it's like a whole different thing. It's like, I feel like I'm 14 again and I'm just with my boys at the lunch table and like, I could just have fun and like bounce music off each other. I have friends all over the world and like start producing music and stuff. And it like doesn't fucking matter.
Right.
Like there's no pressure and I'm like just doing music I like and how I feel it. And like, you know, I grew up in the hood in the 90s and like had to be hard and shit like that. And there's stuff I wouldn't do because I had to be this type of way. But like now, like I don't give a fuck. Like if people say, oh, you can't make music like that, like can't do that. Like, you know, his dad was here talking about Engelbert Humperdinck earlier. And I was like thinking in my head, I'm like, I'm going to sample something from him in the next week.
You have to.
And like, it's going to be dope, you know? And it's like back in the day, I'm like, oh, can't do that. Like I dubbed over all my mom's Barry Manilow tapes as a kid. And I'm like, fuck, I would have just left a piece of that Barry Manilow in there. Like maybe I could have made some dope out of that.
I
Like
made a 3-minute track with that rubber chicken sound and turned it into a hymn going around the world with like a DJ work in the background. Dude. You can make anything from anything.
And I mean, like, and honestly, like, I feel like with all of the two things that you are like just connecting it all, I feel like really it's not, you can't forget the why of why you're doing it. You know what I mean? And I think that it gets away from us at times when we compare ourselves to other people, and you know, it's like it's a ripple effect at that point on, and that's why you got to be careful. That's why I'm speaking to myself. You know, it's a tough thing. You know what I mean? But you have to you do have to detach yourself from that and not covet. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, like we all have something unique to offer. We have a lot to bring to the table. And I think if we just are patient enough with ourselves in the process, like we'll get there. You know, you'll find, I mean, there's records that I've done. I'm like, dang, that was in me. Like you look back and you're like, what the heck? Where did that come from? You know what I mean? And it's been there the whole time. You need the right things to pull it out, you know, just like the beginning, that one, you know, when I first started writing, you know, it was like I needed some things to like kind of be in place for that to happen, you know? And so
you have to hit your knees. In order to become an artist, you have to break yourself. I think most artists that are decent have hit their knees completely and had that moment where they've said, you know what, fuck life. I need to go a different direction. None of this makes sense anymore. And I'm going to go back to being what I was originally created to be. Because even if you're not a religious person, it's pretty simple to say that you're created one way, right? If you're created one way, and to be anything but yourself in your life is disrespectful and a slap into the face to whoever made you. Simple as that. Just be you. If you think you need to yodel in the middle of your fucking music, dude, I bet you could fucking sample that shit and you'll be fucking Mr. Yodel literally in like a fucking week.
Dude, listen. And I bet you it would slap.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
If you figured out a way to do so. And like you have to it sounds like you got good people. You know, a lot of people are hated on by the people close to them and out of jealousy or like whatever, but like right off the bat, you like mentioned people in your life that like, you ever watch Dave, the series with Lil Dicky?
I don't know if I haven't actually watched it.
You should definitely watch it. But like his right hand man is this guy Gator, who's like his hype man, his best friend. And the guy's like, you're the fucking shit all the time, right?
Love that.
Even when he's not the shit, this guy's like, you're the shit, you know? And he's like his personal hype man. And it's like, you know, I had a couple of those in my life. You know, they're not here anymore. But like, if I didn't have them, like at the times I didn't believe in myself, they did, and that meant a lot. And if people around you are hating on you and like that kind of thing, like that could put you in the headspace that you don't believe in yourself and you just 100%. Quit. You know, like just to have anybody that, even if they are bullshitting you that day in church, like, and your shit does not pop,
right?
They gave you that, you know, push, you know, even if they were clowning you, but they knew like you need to hear, like whatever the case may be, like they cared enough and like they saw enough, like to either make you feel better in that moment, they really believed in you or whatever. And then over the time, like you could tell, I'm sure now that they do, but
I mean, like I think personally, like even, I mean, I don't know obviously like how things would have went if it was the opposite, but I do know that, you know, in general, like music it became such an outlet for me anyways. Like even if there was a point where I was like, even if I don't even put out music, like I'm just gonna write because I feel like this is what I need to do, you know? And so looking back, I'm like, wow, just grateful for like, the people in my life and, you know, even one of my best friends who produces most of my music, like just an encouraging person and like, you know, just a positive voice, you know, even if it does suck, like he's real with me. He's like, yo, nah, you could do better. And you need that too. And I think like, you know, I wouldn't say that like constructive criticism is like always needed. I think it's more of like you need positive reinforcements. And I'm a firm believer in that because you could be told that it could be better, but in a positive way, you know what I mean? And I think that's the difference. When you're constantly being criticized or like, you know, yo man, like, and it could be, that's the other thing you have to be careful of. You need to know, or you need to be careful who the voices you let in. You know what I mean? Because like, just because this person is a maybe creatively well-rounded, it doesn't mean that they're the voice that you need in your life. So I don't know. And I speak from experience. That's why I say that. But
I think you need both. Like you might have someone that tells you your shit's the shit all the time, and like they're not going to tell you if you got a booger in your nose when you walk out the door, you know. And like
for real. And I used to be that guy. Like unfortunately, like because I used to be such a people pleaser, and I'm like, and I think it's because like I always saw the best in it, even though it didn't like resonate with me. You know, I never wanted to be a yes man because I never wanted that person to be that with me. Because especially if it's not good, you know, and there could be good elements to it. And I think that's the difference. Instead of being like, nah, man, this is trash. Like just being like, yo, bro, I think there's good elements in the song. I think this is what you should hone in on, like keep and in this section here, just like maybe either scratch it or like, you know, use that, but like flip it or do whatever, you know. And I think like, cause I had friends too I have friends that are, you know, rap as well. And you know, I want to run this by you. And it's like, and there were moments where I'm like, yo man, this slaps. Then there's other moments where I'm like, yo, this has got a lot of potential, but I don't think it's there yet. And that's the positive reinforcement. It's like, you're telling them that it's like, you're not telling them it's bad, but you're not entirely telling them it's like amazing at the same time. So
you brought up something when you said that you got to be careful of whose voice you allow in your head, right? And that made me think of something, and that is that there's a little anecdote that I heard the other day that somebody was talking about. If you had a roommate, right, that lived with you, and you spoke to that roommate like you speak to yourself, what kind of person would you actually be? Right? We will speak to ourselves like we're the biggest piece of shit, unable to do anything that everyone is judging and doing, because we look through everybody else's eyes every time we look at ourselves. We don't even look through our own eyes. We use everybody else's lenses to look at ourselves, and we don't realize
more times than not, for sure.
100%. 100%. That's how it works.
Yeah, I think I think it's a form of pride, because you're like, when you're self-deprecating, like you're discounting the gem that you are. You know what I mean?
You wouldn't
and
insult
like,
your roommate.
Yeah, no, like,
Yeah,
I mean, or at least not intentionally. I don't know. I mean, some people are out there.
Well, not the same way we talk to ourselves.
No, yeah, for sure. I think, yeah, like navigating your own, and again, like a lot of that too, you got to know, you got to hopefully try to find the root of that, you know, like whether that's trauma. I know for me, like, you know, sometimes the things that I think of myself, I'm like, it's rooted, you know, in the trauma, you know, whatever that is. And like, I'm like, yo, like, where is that coming from? And then, you know, I'm like, why do I feel like this about myself? You know? And it could have been a moment when I was a kid. It could have been a moment that, you know, even in college, whatever, you know what I mean? Where you're just trying to like pinpoint it. But if you don't deal with it, that's going to carry along with you, and it's going to grow stronger. And then, honestly, like, you just start identifying with things that aren't even healthy, you know? And so
it's easy to be a victim. Victimhood is a badge, man. People will put that on their chest and wear it because it doesn't require action. To be a victim means you can sit down as long as you want to. And that doesn't mean that you aren't a victim of things that aren't victimhood, you know, in situations. But if it becomes your persona for life, then you're never going to affect change or be a whole person. You're not going to be able to do anything because you're locked up in that cycle.
Yeah. No,
what's the first song you loved that you heard, like radio or somebody played? What was like,
this generation is probably on Facebook.
Yeah, like
I mean,
your mom.
Nah, like I mean,
I like to throw random questions like that.
I had a MySpace for like a month, and then barely even used it. And then I think like Facebook came out. You know what I mean? So I was like, because I never rode like people would do things, and I'm like, nah, I ain't doing that. You know what I mean? Because I just always was like, go against the grain. Like, I didn't want to be like, I don't know, like, nah, like,
not watching that Spider-Man movie.
Deep down inside, you're like, it's amazing.
Yeah, none of the Spider-Man movies were good.
No, yeah.
Anyway, he's like, what?
No, we are changing the topic. No, I'm kidding. What was your question? I'm sorry.
Like, song you can remember, like first song you loved, like song that you wanted, like, Mom, buy me that tape. Well, I guess it's whatever. Like, what was a
CD? Got to be a CD.
Maybe, yeah. Like, what?
Man, I don't even. That's a great question. First song that like just like a song that like kind of.
What's your road trip song? What's that song that comes on in the car that you fucking will hurt yourself singing that you have no business singing?
I mean, honestly, Earth, Wind, and Fire, September. That's my jam.
I mean, I wouldn't have guessed that in a trillion fucking.
But like, well, I mean, I would
so
say,
dope,
I would say, like, I mean, that's just the first song that came to my mind.
That's what I wanted. That's why I threw that question out
of
blue, like, because I wanted the first song that came to your mind. True. Like, we weren't even talking about that.
Me and my wife. That's like our anthem. Like, I don't know, September. So it's not a rap song, obviously, but
it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, that's.
It's just a feel good song.
It strikes that right guitar chord inside you. Whenever they hit that note, it just vibrates just right.
Like, well, the thing is like when the song starts, you're like, I know this song. Like, you know what I mean? Like, even there was a time where I honestly couldn't even remember what that song was, but I heard like the intro and I'm like, yo,
I know what's coming.
This is the jam that I like, you know what I mean?
That's actually what makes me hate remixes. Because you get that first couple of notes and you're like, this is my song. And then it's like, chicka, chicka, oh, this other complete different direction.
Yeah.
You think you're listening to like Luna's I Got 5 on it. And then, you know, it's got like 4 other rappers like they're doing We Are the World with Michael Jackson. It's not Luna's.
Yeah.
Then you realize that they stole that beat from somebody else in the first place.
Yeah.
And you're like, man, this isn't Biggie. this is the new Ashanti remix. And then you're like, oh wait, but that Biggie sample was from this other, like first engineer.
I feel like I'm such a
third generation.
Even for me, like I'm such a feel like a weird artist because like there's a lot of artists that I respect, that I like, but oh my gosh, excuse me, I'm so sorry.
Sweet. Leave that in. Mark it. What time was that? What time was that?
Yo,
nice.
Yo, sample that joint right there.
Everybody get one out.
That makes it to social media.
That burp right there is just like key.
It's the Tragedy Academy, dude.
Hey,
it's built in the name.
Burp.
Yo, it's this cold brew.
It's this cold room.
Yo, freezing. It is. I sat down and I'm like, dang, it's getting that draft. But
that's freezing in here.
I can't feel my face.
God, you guys are such
when I'm with you.
whiny babies. I can't feel
it's 39 degrees in here. Here in Florida.
Yo,
and
let me get a Snuggie real quick, bro.
Snuggie. Hardcore rapper right here looking for his Snuggie.
Yeah, he's keeping it real. Like rappers get cold.
Listen. Nah, but I was gonna say like there
it's got sleeves.
It's a perfect invention.
No, yeah, like I don't know, like I feel like I'm a weird artist because like there's a lot of artists that I like, but there's not. It's hard sometimes for me to, because I consume so much music. I'm not like, oh yeah, like I can pinpoint this, and this, And I think for me, like it's just because I just love so much music that I just, I could be like, yo, this artist, like inspiration, but it changes too, because it's like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I try to. I like that because what I try to do is I don't like to get stagnant in music, or in my age, because I feel like if you don't have kids and you're not like consuming all of this stuff, you're missing that art that's out there. So what I try to do is like I'll take like I'll go to like the world top 100 and just let it play through while I'm doing stuff until something hits my ear, and that's why I think it's Obang Jar, the one that I sent you. That guy is. I mean, an amazing artist from like, I think he's from Nigeria or Ethiopia. Yeah. And his film work, his music, everything is just amazing. Yeah. And it's low budget from the middle of nowhere.
Yo, I mean, yeah, like I think like J. Cole was always a huge inspiration. And like, honestly, I just admired like his wordplay, you know what I mean? And like just how he could like, you just never know which way he's going to go. It just was just genius, and like huge respect to him. And yeah, I mean, like it just, like I said, like it definitely varies at times. Like I'll discover an artist and then be like, yo, this dude's amazing, like one of the dudes, he's been doing music a long time, but Tom Mitch, I don't know if you guys know Tom Mitch. I just love like his style is so like
it's argument with a friend often. Like it might be my own hatred of shit that's unrelated to him. Like
you're holding him hostage.
I don't know him as a person, but
no, not like not him, like just as like a genre of like I still have layers of need to like peel off of this like preconceived shit that I can't get past.
Healing.
It's true. It's true. There's shit I like now that I hated Lil Wayne for my whole life, and like there's just I don't exactly know why, but. Little by little,
I mean, like,
I think that shit's pretty dope. Okay.
I think also like as you're just like discovering yourself as an artist, or like just kind of like growing in your art form. Like there's music that I listened to back. I mean, I'll be honest, the first like rapper that I ever like I'm not even playing. Like this is when like the Walkmans were when I had a Walkman, and
was it yellow?
It was
Vanilla Ice. Was it so stereotypical, right?
It was actually Chingy. I'm not even gonna lie, dude. It was Chingy, and then that opened the door to Ludacris, and then
Chris.
Yeah, man. Like it was crazy but at the same time, like that same time frame, and I mean, again, like I wasn't even writing music at the time because this was high school, but that was my first rap CD. And then it was like, I had like Green Day, Slipknot, 3 Days Grace, like all these different, like, it just, like, I don't know, just random things. Lil Wayne was definitely one of them, but
it's the era and like.
Oh, I mean, those were the hot artists, you know what I mean? And so, yeah, I think and when you discover other artists too, then you're like, yo, like I actually really, I connect with that.
That's me and the Beastie Boys. I've always, and they're a good example of pushing through regardless of what you put out before, because they went from, Licensed to Ill to fucking Paul's Boutique, which was a fucking big steaming turd, and then came back out with, what was it, Intergalactic or one of the other ones. You just slayed it after that.
Right. But it's like, I think Paul's Boutique's one of their best albums.
And that's what they think.
Like when they got Intergalactic, that's mad annoying.
And I'll be honest, I haven't listened to any of that. Crickets, I know.
No, I mean,
that's what I was gonna say. Like, even for me, like, I'm like, yo, I feel like I still have so much homework to do.
It's just so much out there.
There is, and I think that's why I'm like. But I used to be really insecure about that. Like, as an artist, like, I don't know all these artists, or like, and I used to, I'll be honest, it was a huge insecurity of mine. And that's why when people were like, yo, bro, who's your inspiration? And I'm like,
Grimace. Who gives a fuck?
No, I know. But I'm just saying that, like, because obviously being authentic, you want to be honest, And so I was like, I mean, honestly, I could tell you artists that I pull from and that I like, but I can't sit there and tell you like, yo, I was obsessed with this song and this lyric and this thing. Because I'm still doing homework, I'm still doing my research, and it's just unlimited. There's just so much out there. And
I can tell when people are bullshitting too. Like if they're your age and they're like, Gangstar, I was definitely Gangstar. I'm like, you was dead before you started listening to music. Like that's just like, oh, Big L. Like people they're my favorite artists but I grew up in that era, and they're like, oh, I'm like, that's a canned answer. You didn't start on a school bus in 2005 listening to
because the guys that I was my buddies from back in my hometown, those were artists that they definitely grew up on them, because I mean they're like 4 years older than me, 5 years, and when like you hear them write and rap, you're like, yeah, that makes sense, because you're like, yep, I could see listening back to like that artist, because I never really, even though those were like Big Pun, like Big L, like all those guys, I listened back and did homework, but I wasn't like listening to it. And then it just was like, yo, this is who I'm listening to now. It was like, oh, wow, like they're dope. They got bars, but it might not be my thing. I might not, that's not who I connect with, and so, but everybody's got, their own journey with it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm an East Coast guy. Like the people like that I do music with on the West Coast, like we don't see eye to eye on almost anything. Yeah. Like Corrupt's the best rapper of all time. They say, I'd say Sean Price is the best rapper of all time, and like, and like whoever, and like, but he's my favorite rapper, but that doesn't mean he's the best, because it's like basketball and shit. There's subjective stats, right? Like,
and you could respect him without being like, yo, man, they're my favorite. You could just pay homage, because at the end of the day, like a lot of those art, like even like Jay-Z, like they paved the way. You know what I mean? And again, like you might not be like, yo, I mess with them daily, but you could still be like, yo, man, they're dope though. Like they got a lot of, they're doing it, so everybody's got their own, flavor.
Everybody loves to hate what they don't do.
It's true, or I like, even on the opposite, like I hate like on people that do what I do that are like similar to me, because it's like,
do you feel like there's a struggle with like there's a pride with that though? Like not being able to like, celebrate others that are doing the same.
It's something like I know it's happening and I still fight with it. And
it's human nature.
It's just like, there's haterism shit, whatever. Like, and I struggle with it. Like, and like Mac Miller thing, like I missed out on probably, and a lot of it's like, back in my day shit, kids these days, like they don't know shit. And like, you think like everything's, Young Thug, like you're one Young Thug song, you think like every rapper now sucks like he does, right? And then you're like, I never actually even heard a Young Thug song before. Yeah. I just saw him wear a dress once, and like I think he sucks. But then when Andre wore a dress 100 years ago, or Busta Rhymes did, like I was like, oh man, that shit's dope. He's got balls. But now a new guy does. I'm like, why is he wearing that? Like,
right. I think honestly, like we just got to have our own opinion, and not, again, like not worry about what other people are saying or doing. And just not letting like the inner critic get the best of us, because at the end of the day, like they're doing it, you know what I mean? And it's like, and I think that's the reality of like just being like, yo, man, I'm in my own lane with it, and I'm just gonna have fun and enjoy creating, you know what I mean? Rather than like worrying about what like this person's doing or how they're doing it, and so on and so forth. I think it's just exhausting at the end of the day. And it's like, I want to be the best at just being an encouragement too. Cause like, I think that there's just so much honor in that of like just being like, yo, man, it could be people in your circle. It could be just like from afar. They might not ever, but internally you're like, yo, man, like, you know, letting that person's grind, like, you know, or whatever it is, doesn't have to be a grind, but it could just be like hearing something and being open-minded to hearing it and being like, yo, this is giving me inspiration now, you know? So not being so close-minded to where you're like, you know, like bitterness for no reason, you know what I mean? And it's like, you're only
I'm at like a 2 now. You used to be at like a 10.
Progress.
Like, it's like, you have to do it, you know? It's
and a lot, and sometimes too, like, it could be people in your inner circle that cause maybe that trauma too. And then now, like, you see, those are the lenses you see things through. And it's just, you know, it's daily inventory, you know, and we gotta just be real, acknowledge it, and just, you know,
actually being real instead of like, I don't know if you remember the Dave Chappelle show much, but like when like there's shit with keeping it real goes wrong, right? You know, and it's like a skit, you know, like guy hits him at the bar and he like dumps his drink out, you know, and like, what's keeping it real? Where I'm from, I got to fight that dude right now, right? And like, I do beat you up, shoot you, prison, like anything, like whatever. So like, same with like music, like, oh, keeping it real, like this is the shit I like. I don't fuck with Drake. I don't fuck with these people, like whatever. Like, I think Drake sucks, like mostly. And then you'll hear a song that, like, you don't want to tell anybody that you like that song, right?
From, though? Like
me personally, like it just depends. Like different reasons for it. Like his music, like for the most part, I don't like because I think like it was mostly not made for like people, like, you know. It's
but is it because like you might not connect with it, or
it's like it's like it's not like him personally or like anything, but then some songs come out and like I don't like Lil Wayne, I don't like Drake, but like that Right Above It song comes out and like I hear it on like the intro to Ballers. I'm like, oh, this fucking shit is hard.
And
that's Drake.
You find yourself like,
and then I'm like,
in your head,
and then I'm like, who the fuck is that? Like, and then I go like listen to a whole album of his, and I'm like, yeah, he sucks.
Oh,
and I'm like, but he had this one good song. But then it's like that might lead to like whatever. And sometimes I'm right, they do suck in my opinion. Not that they suck. It's just not my
cup of tea.
Yeah, you know,
and that's okay. I mean, like, but again, you could still like acknowledge like, yo, they got great lyrics or not maybe lyrics, but like, yo, that's a creative song or that's whatever, you know.
Sucks is like the wrong way to put it, I guess. Like, I've never been a Kobe Bryant fan, like my best friends are, but I could recognize he's a phenomenal basketball player, right?
Right.
It's like, I'm like, I was a LeBron guy or a Jordan guy or whatever. Like Drake, like the proof's in the fuck pudding, you know, like the guy, like sold 1 trillion records. People love him. Like he's figured it out. Like people hate Kanye and it's like, okay, you can hate him because he likes Donald Trump or because he said this crazy thing or that, but like,
right. But I think that's the you're kind of dipping into like loving them in their humanity. And I think like that's the thing that we have to be careful of, because I mean, at the end of the day, like, I think we just need to do like, and I speak for myself, like just to love one another. You know what I mean? We need more love. There's so much hate out there. And I think that like, we need to just saturate even whether it's the music industry or even if it's just at the grocery store, like we're just like conscious of loving people where they're at and not, because at the end of the day, like we don't know what someone's going through at the end of the day. And I think like we just get just too critical and cynical, and I mean, that's a bar right there.
You have to remember those lenses, the lenses you were talking about earlier.
For sure.
Those people that are looking at you are looking through their own trauma experiences. And when they're evaluating what you're giving them in that moment, they're not receiving what you're saying. They're receiving what you're saying through the lenses of their own experiences. So they're not going to interpret what you say the same way. No two people
I'm self-aware of it now as I've gotten older. And like, I know when I'm doing it, and like, depending on the situation.
It's a process. I mean,
it's like, I try to fix it a little each day, but like, I fall back on it. It's only music, really. Like other aspects of life, because it's something I was so passionate about, and like,
I was gonna say,
failed at one point and what I wanted to do. So then, like, you start hating people that are successful when you think that you're better than them, or you could have been better. It's like the Uncle Rico shit. you know, and then it's like, you know, it's like that I deal with that. It's like, I'm, you know, very generous and kind, and I never would put somebody down to their face and like all of that kind of thing like that. But like people love to hate on shit. So like, I'm not going to do it anymore, you know, and it's trying to, you know, come off of that shit. And it's like, it's tough because it is subjective, but like sometimes you made up your mind before, like Mac Miller. I was 100% sure he sucked without ever giving him a chance. And then I was like, wow, I fucked that all up. Like, going back, you know, and it's like, shit, man, like that was one I just missed while I could have been enjoying it in real time, you know, because like I just had this preconceived notion of some other people that I thought were like him that I didn't like.
If somebody annoys me, or if somebody I find annoying likes something, I won't watch what it is that they're saying they like just because I think they're annoying and their recommendation must be annoying.
I had this kid I used to work with that loved Mac Miller, and like that's part of it. Like you're whack, like it has to be whack, and like I was wrong. Like it was like I
mean that just goes to show like how broken we are, and you know how much we truly need like humility, because and it's so important too, because like that bleeds in everything else. You know, at the end of the day, you think like, oh, that's, you know, in that moment, but what's actually happening deep down inside is it's like it's doing something there that is going to eventually come out in relationships, in your marriage, in your whatever, you know what I mean? Like friendships.
2 things I'm terrible at.
I mean, but the thing is like there is grace, you know, and I think that we have to, going back, actually, this is a perfect full circle of like, going back to the self-deprecation thought, you know, where it's like, yo, we need to be patient with ourselves. It doesn't mean that you're like giving yourself like, oh, I'm, you know, letting myself off the hook, but it's just it's the balance of like, yo, I know I'm imperfect, but like there is room for growth. You know what I mean? And
you got to love your imperfections.
You have to, I mean, you have to, you definitely have to like be gracious towards yourself, and then at the same token, you have to still put in the work to like, you know, work through that, you know, whether that's therapy or whether that's just like having like conversations with good people that you know that could do life with you and walk with you, and just being real about it, you know, and not like trying to stuff it down, because that doesn't do any good.
Someone that doesn't know anything about you, one song that they should listen to first
from like,
any song you've ever done that we could look up like right now.
Oh my
like,
gosh. Wow.
It's a, you know, just a whatever,
like one of my favorites
or your representation.
It's the first time I'm listening to the podcast. I'm listening to Matthew Scheall, and I want to jump on Spotify right now, and I want to see what he's all about. What song do you want them to grab onto?
Remind Me Again.
Oh, that's the name of the song.
Yeah.
I was like,
you're like, remind me about, I just literally told you, yo, these are the instructions.
Are we able to pull that up?
We can't play it live at the moment. Or actually could.
Yeah, see, you'll never know until you take that step. And you'll never know when you'll take your last breath. Waking up another day reveals the more I'm blessed. Before we decay, give it all to nothing left. I know the way, it's to take advantage every single moment, no delay. Yeah, carpe diem, gotta seize the day. And God will lead the way, even when I end up being toe-to-toe with my demons. But this light in me is glowing out, fleeing from the AM to the PM. Got me dreaming like I'm Joseph. Ain't no reason to doubt, cause I'm chosen. Yo, I'm growing in faith, I'm flowing in grace, I'm slow in the pace, reaping what I'm sowing. Now I'm opening a case of that champagne, like rolling up to a toll bridge with all coins. Some of y'all can't stand change. my knees hit the ground, that's where my head's in the sky. See, my Heavenly Father ain't distant when prayer life is consistent and appetite is contingent on daily bread and devotion. I stay connected, just like umbilical, yeah, to the vine, so divine but so habitual. And every time God shows up, I build memorials. And to this thing called life, there's no tutorials and no reset. So everything that we get, we should give it right back till everybody's needs met. How deep is your love really? No, keep sweat. Everything we need, we have, so we blessed to wake up another day. Yeah, with the sun shining through my blinds, yeah, with another ray. One thing I know, there ain't another way. So as long as God with me, I'll be faithful. No matter where I end up, I'll be grateful.
Dope.
Appreciate that.
It's like very like Tribe Called Quest, like
Oh, it was, yeah.
Dude, like, and this is the first song I didn't produce the beat, but this was the first record that I like mixed like my own vocals, like, you know, like, because I wanted to like expound my boundaries with that. And so it was quarantine, like I didn't really have, you know, like really like producers at the time to like work with. I had one friend, he mastered it, but I like did all the, you know, mixing and recording at my house. So it was a lot of fun and it was just organic. I remember like just sitting in my room and couldn't leave the house and just was like, yo, this is what was welling up in me. And it was just honestly a song about like, you know, like reminding myself that, you know, the like bringing it back to the principles and to what it's about. And for me, you know, putting God first in my life and not getting distracted and allowing him to lead my life, and just about different real moments, you know, just because it's easy to get distracted, you know, and kind of wayward to like the things that really matter at the end of the day. And I feel like at least for me, that's what COVID did. Like it put me back in my seat, humbled me, and it was just a lot of time of reflection. And that's where that song came from. So it was like, remind me like why I'm doing this, why I'm here. And you know,
it was a perfect song for like, I went through the exact same thing, like, and that song I will keep with me, like, or like knowing the backstory, like it changes things. Like, I think that's a dope song. I would definitely play.
Thank you.
But now we have a different meaning because like I did the same shit. Like I learned how to started mixing and mastering my own stuff and like reflection and get back to the things that matter.
Yeah.
And like I was alone, single, started making music again, like started like shit that matters, like that timing, and like even the beat is from the era of music that I draw from. So
it's smooth.
Yeah. And I mean, that's like, I think that's another reason why it's like my favorite joint, because like it's like it's like a breath of fresh air when you hear it, you know what I mean? And that's when I heard the beat, I was like, yo, shout out the kid Garan. And he I don't know him personally, but he makes beats. Found it on YouTube, bought it, and then was like, yo.
You can hear the relief in your voice, in the fact that I think when we were all in the pandemic, we can say that a lot of music creativity and things like that was reborn or born of the fact that people had to reconcile their own demons because they were stuck in a position for more than the amount of time that was required for them to, you know, goldfish memory it and forget the fact that they're fucked over. That's why there were so many divorces and then so many marriages that actually came back together, because they got to reinvent it and
was
understand.
Like, make it or break it. Like, I mean, I got hit with COVID so hard too.
Like sick wise?
Yeah, man. Like it was crazy because like I did that song, and not that long after I got sick, and it was like I don't think there was ever a time where I was that sick, and the recovery was so bad. Like, and to be honest, like I was in such a depression and like just in this place where creatively I was like, man, I don't even know if I even like wanted to like do anything. You know what I mean? And I don't know. It was just one of those things where like obviously you like not even a matter of. I mean, I guess I was in my head, but it was more so like I felt so defeated in so many different areas. But it was like once I got out of that and I got better and I started to just get healthier again. It was it actually like pushed me even further creatively, which is pretty cool. But I'm by the grace of God like overcame that and yeah, man, like it was just a very like, I mean, everybody has their own experience and like their own time with it, but I think initially it was a great time for me to like kind of just go back to the drawing board a little bit. And that's where that song came from too, because I was like, yo, I want to make a song that just like, I don't know, like was just really like straight, like me, and I'm like, I don't, cause I used to, what's crazy. And you might've done this too. Like you make a song and you're like, yo, and this goes back to the voices in your life. Like you make a song and you're like, and at the time I wasn't really conscious of like who I was sharing with. Like it was people I knew that I cared about, but it was like, I wasn't really thinking like, yo, is their voice like, do I want their voice like, contributing to this like feedback or whatever. And I would just be like, yo, like, what do you think of this song? Like, yo, what do you think? What do you think? And like, I mean, it's all right. Or like, yo, man, I like the beat. That's always my favorite. Like, I'm like, dang, bro. Like, I mean, I didn't even make the beat, and I'm like, shout out to the person who made the beat. But I'm like, what about the lyrics though? Or what about the song structure, whatever. And it was always, I was like, yeah, I ain't asking you again. You know what I mean? Like, but I was like, I got to a point where I was like, man, I need to just be careful because not that like their opinion doesn't matter, but it's not needed in this like context because it's like there's people that like I genuinely need to hear their opinion because they're going to be like unbiased. You know what I mean? They're going to be like they're going to look at it from a consumer standpoint, but also like as a friend of mine who like actually enjoys my music or like enjoys music in general, at least that genre or whatever. And so like they were like, yo, man, like I could like, and that's where I was at. I was like, yo, that was a shift for me. I was, basically, yeah, I'm definitely going to be selective on who I like share this with. And so, and some people honestly just, I don't think they think that in their minds, their opinion matters as much as it does to you until you voice it. Yo, man, I care about what you think, right? So when you say like, I don't know, like, I don't feel like you're, whatever, and you could be experimenting and all that, but they just give you some like whack advice. And then you're like, now you're like, oh, like I suck,
Why you got to love yourself and what you're putting out. And then that way doesn't matter what anybody else. I know that sounds so cliche. Like it doesn't matter what anybody else says, but at the same time, if you are truly in love with what you're creating and who you are, those voices, you'll start to recognize them for their insecurities and not what you won't make them your reality.
And they might even dig it. They just don't want to tell you,
that happens all the time.
All the time. And I mean, I think too, like we say like, I don't care what people think, but really that's when we care the most because we do care. I just think that we have to be careful, like where like we're coming from, and I think it's just all about like intentionality and,
you got a hater friend and there's always going to be a hater. Like, so I ask them
and like, and just
certain things.
Cause I think like too, like it's again, like we care, but we can't allow like somebody else to dictate like how we move forward, or what
feel
I mean?
about ourselves
or that too. You know what I mean? It's like and that's actually an important thing too. Cause it's like, you got to know yourself. You got to know like, now I value myself and like, I care about what people think, obviously, or else I wouldn't, I wouldn't be a human being.
Like your mom's always going to tell you your shit's dope. Like your one friend, like it's a hater. Like the other friend, like
I think honestly, that's why I appreciate my wife so much. Cause like I'll play her something and she'll be a buck with me. Like she'll be straight up like, yo, I mean, she's not mean about it, but she's like, I think it could be better. Like, she's like, it's good, but I think it could be better, you know?
That's not
and
often.
I'm like, but then I'll play a song and she's like freaking in love with it. You know what I mean? And, you know, the last few are about her. So she's got to love. No, just kidding. But no, but for
she
real,
might hate him then. Like, that
No,
could go the
I
opposite
mean,
way too. So
but
like,
she's-
if
no,
she
I-
likes it, that's good. I think.
yeah. And I mean, like, even if she didn't like it, but she, you know, is like, yo, this is a good song, you know, she might not be bumping it herself, but she can recognize good art, you know?
Say like, hey, if you just maybe try this, like it's close, but like,
Yeah.
or you're a little too wordy in that verse.
sure,
like if
yeah.
you pull a few words
Yep.
out, like you'll be back rhythm, like, or your cadence like was good in the first verse, but it's not like in the second, like
Yeah.
that kind of criticism. Like you could say,
Yeah.
okay, like you know what you're talking about, thought about it. You don't instantly like, man. And sometimes it's straight feel.
Yeah.
Like
That's the thing too. Like I had to come to grips with, like, not every time I go to the studio is going to be like great. Like I'm there literally like this happened recently. I had one of my new singles that I haven't released it yet, like to be put out, but it's the one that I'm going to release next. And I was in the studio and the producer made this dope beat, but I just felt like that day in particular was not it. Like, and some days are just not it. Came back the next week, we created something new, and then bam, like came out with this record, like one of my favorites. And I'm like, wow, like it's the process, you know what I mean? And honestly, like, and I've heard it from so many other artists that are like further along than I am, but they're like, yo, you gotta, not that they've had this conversation with me, but I've heard it just from them in interviews or whatever. Like, you got to learn the art of failing to get to that piece of gold that is there. Same thing with the mining thing. Like, you got to like
break a lot of eggs and make an omelet or whatever.
Exactly. And that's the reality. Like, you got to just like go through it and go through the process. Cause if you don't, like, that one piece that you haven't unlocked yet is just on the other side. And so I just always think that, like, I'm like, yo, I might not be too discouraged. I might have a bad day, but yo, that bad day is going to push me to that good day. So.
See, with music and art.
Oh yeah. No
one's first rhymes are best ever.
No, never.
Like when you're like, my name is Matt, and I am.
And that's the thing. When you're a perfectionist, you're like, everything's got to be perfect, you know, and it's just not.
No such thing as perfect.
Well, yeah, and I mean, like, that's the thing too, like, or at least here on Earth, like, you know, it's like, and you have to come to grips with that as an artist. Like, you're gonna make mistakes, you're gonna fail, but you got to fail forward.
Failure's beautiful too.
It
in its
is,
own way.
like, and
it
hilarious
is beautiful.
Sometimes.
The things that come from failure, they're much more well-rounded than anything else you're going to get.
Best black belts in jiu-jitsu, in their mind, they're a white belt still. They wash the mat after practice, and like it's evolving art, right? And the people that think they've learned it all and they're the best, like, they're never going to be actually that good. Best
Consistency,
like, are open to learning and getting better and growing, and like everything could be some. The worst rapper in the world could like just quit, right? But or 10 years later, like, they could be the best. And that thought he was the shit right off the bat is probably never going to be that great, because they're going to peak so early, try new things and fail, and people don't like him. It's going to be like, fuck you, like, my shit's dope. Like,
I think,
you should like it.
Yeah,
like,
and I mean, like, you should be the only person that you're competing against. Like, and that's how I am. I'm not out here trying to be the best. I'm not out here being like, yo, I got to be better than you. Like, I just want to be the best version of myself every day. And I'm at competition with me, you know, and yeah.
Do you find people that, like, iron sharpens iron sometimes? Like,
oh yeah,
people push you because, like,
for sure.
That's like, I come from the era of like battle rap more, and like trying to outdo each other, and like I would get sunned one day, like I would make sure I won the next day. Like it would be like, I can't lose 2 days in a row. Like, we pushed each other to get better, I think, every day.
I mean, honestly, I think that that's one thing that, like, I'm learning to not isolate myself, but also learning that solitude is important. Like, because the two are different, obviously. Like, isolation is like lack of community, you know, and you need people in your life to push you, to encourage you, to challenge you. But like, the solitude is important though, because it's like you need to have moments by yourself to reflect, to create, to write. you know, and that's why honestly, like, I'm so grateful for like Wayne, and like he's just a huge encouragement, and just even like work, like the church that I go to, like there's a lot of creatives there that I feel like, they're just genuine, man, and like they're just there to like build you up, and that's what's encouraging. It's like no one's competing like who, and it's usually I don't even really have.
There's no winner.
Well, and the thing is like I don't even have a ton of like rap friends right now that I'm like super like I hang out with all the time. You know what I mean? I mean I have friends that like from afar that obviously live in different counties or different places, and you know, and I'm always like encouraged from afar, but like most of the encouragement and the like, you know, just speaking the truth in life over one another is like different genres of music, or even just different, like it doesn't even have to be music. It could be like, yo, this dude does videography, and I'm even there so much that goes behind with that, you know what I mean? And it's like, yo, like these movies that we see, like, yo, those actors are dope, but like, yo, the dude behind the camera though, what about him, you know? And it's like, so I'm seeing like, just to hold, I know we can go on like a tangent, I can go on a tangent with that, but I'm just basically speaking just as the point of like, yo, there might not be people that I can like, that are like, even as when it comes to rap, but like, as far as other art forms, I'm like challenged, you know? And I'm like, yo, this kind of keeps me on my toes, and it's encouraging to hear other people that even might not even listen to hip hop, but they still are like, yo, like encouraging, you know?
I love that. Gary and I share our art with each other a lot. And, I always appreciate when someone else sees what you put into it. It's not necessarily that you even have to understand the art at times. It's the fact that you can feel the genuine feeling that someone put into it.
So true.
It really is. It makes you smile immediately because you know they were smiling when they made it.
Yeah.
I feel like that kind of thing transfers through music and art and things like that.
Maybe they weren't smiling; they're crying.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, and it makes real. You cry. Yeah,
it was like they put their pain into that, or their happiness, or like their emotion in some way, and like
so true.
You try to make something that's,
I mean, you could
think's going to be good because you're
for sure
whatever, and like, or you could just put it out there, like whatever, like
just do it. Scream.
They might even. I mean, you could usually. I mean, I feel like you could hear a track. And you off rip, you could be like, "Yo, this is genuine." You know what I mean?
You tell they didn't make that for commercial success, like,
or like you just know that, like, I don't know, like I feel like even just certain songs, I'm like, wow, like this is real. You know what I mean? Like this is from a real place, and that's the music that I pull from, you know, and it's the music that I like creating. You know, how much more, how much deeper can I get in myself to pull out some things that I didn't know was there, or I didn't know that I had the capability of even doing, you know? And so,
or just having the balls to put it out there.
That's the lack of fear. You got to have lack of fear. You know what I mean? You got to, and it's so important in as an artist, to just put it out there.
Well, I like that, and I think everybody's going to love listening to you and your music, and you know, put it out there. I like that you ended on that, because I think
put it out there,
we're going to put this show out there, and everybody's going to come listen to your music. I want to let you know that I just genuinely appreciate how real you are, and that you know have used your time on this rock as an opportunity to share your art, your heart, your soul with everybody else. That's a gift that a lot of people don't realize that they're capable of giving. And I appreciate you for taking the time to come out here, sit in the studio with us and share that. It means a lot.
It's not easy to be yourself these days. Like, that's a weird thing to say that, but like, you know, I feel like you didn't come in here trying to be what you thought you should be, or trying to be like, it's the kind of shit that matters.
Dude, I appreciate you guys, and thank you. I mean, this is an honor, like, to be here, and so I've loved every second.
It's been an honor for us as well. Gary, you got anything you want to wrap up on here? Jesse, you got anything over there?
More, man.
You did a while ago.
It slipped his mind.
We'll get you a mic.
I was long-winded. I just was talking.
Well, thanks so much, Matthew. I appreciate you. Remember, everybody, be cool and keep learning. We're going to get you a mic set up. What's up, academics? This is Jay. I'm here to talk to you about Into the AM. This is a clothing and apparel company that I came across last year that has the absolute coolest designs. And the reason why I was attracted to it is because I grew up without a lot of money, like many others, and had to shop on that outlet rack with the irregular items. Things like the fly was over 4 inches to the left, or the right sleeve would be twice the size of the left. It looked like I was growing horizontally. Like, it's okay, honey, you'll grow into your left arm. So you really don't get a chance to express yourself the way that you want to. You go into life, you start putting on suits, you start putting on uniforms, and you realize you'd never had a chance to truly express yourself. Enter Into the AM, a team of artists and creators who share a common vision. They see clothing as a canvas to express what drives you. Since 2012, they've developed premium apparel that elevates self-expression and provides unparalleled comfort for wherever your passions take you. Into the AM's passion for change is the driving force behind their brand. They remain committed to creating products that inspire and promote self-expression by partnering with like-minded organizations focused on giving back to communities in need. Last year, they donated 1% of all revenue from their graphic tees collection to the Art of Elysium charity. The Art of Elysium is an artist organization built on the idea that through service, art becomes a catalyst for social change. For over 24 years, the Art of Elysium has paired volunteer artists with communities to support individuals in the midst of difficult emotional life changes. They currently offer 110 community programs per month, serving over 30,000 individuals per year. The only permanent thing in life is change. Supporting charities dedicated to helping those going through these changes, trials, and tribulations require a never-ending commitment. The onus is on us as creators to affect change through our true, authentic talents, and Into the AM is the model of how this is done. Their clothes are handcrafted with care. They have a team of skilled artisans that craft each garment with the highest quality fabrics and eco-friendly inks. Not to mention, these things don't shrink, they don't fade, and they fit as if they were designed supernaturally. I'm stopped every time I wear one of the graphic tees to find out where I got it. The colors attract attention from miles, and the art is nothing short of spectacular, with designs for everyone. One of my personal favorites, Twilight Maiden. Go take a look. Into the AM does all of this while putting their money where their mouth is. 30-day money-back guarantee, lightning fast shipping, and hassle-free returns. The deals are endless. Graphic tee bundles, discount promo codes. Get over there, check it out. I'm highlighting the tees, but I'd be remiss to not mention that if you want to walk around in the absolute most comfortable shorts, joggers, and basic tees, hit up Into the AM. I even wear the basics to the gym. Head on over to thetragedyacademy.com, go to our sponsors tab, and follow the affiliate link to the Into the AM store. Help support Into the AM and the Tragedy Academy by purchasing the absolute best apparel and the best designs ever. And remember, academics, be cool and keep learning.